You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's Once Upon a Time After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Once Upon a Time After Show.
Hello, Oncers. Bing is for doing, and we are here doing another AFTERBUZZ TV After Show for Once Upon a Time, the best show on TV. It's Season 2, Episode 17. Welcome to Storybrooke, and boy, oh boy, did we get a welcoming tonight. I am Tiona Hobson, filling in for Kathy. Kathy's not here with us, sadly, but she will be back next week. And as always, we're joined tonight with these two lovely co-hosts.
Good evening, Kaori, Takee.
Hi, everyone. I'm Marisa, Serafini.
And we're all wearing our green. I like this for St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, I'm a little upset. I was hoping to pinch one of you guys.
Yeah, no, I wasn't about to get. I wasn't about to get pinched.
I'm all about it.
I got mine on for the day. So
the night's not over.
That's right.
Oh, wow. So this episode was pretty, I think we all screamed at the end of it at a couple points in there.
Loved the ending.
The ending was great.
That was good.
This had to have been one of the best episodes of the season, I thought.
Yeah, definitely
For me.
one of the best episodes.
Yeah, one of the best. So let's get into it. It starts off with a father and son who we find out are Owen is the son and Kurt is the dad. They're camping in 1983, and all of a sudden there's this big storm coming, and it's magic. Well, we know that it's magic. They don't know. So then the next day when they wake up, there's a new town there that just kind of appears out of nowhere, and it's kind of weird, and people are like, who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Because there, everyone seems to know everyone, and we find out that this is when everyone first got to Storybrooke. The curse has just started. Regina's waking up like, yes, I did it. I won, and is so happy. What did you guys think about old school Storybrooke, 1983?
I liked it. We saw everyone there for the first time, but they haven't really changed. Because seeing them now in present day and seeing them back then, yes, time stopped or was technically on a loop. I don't think time really stopped, but their mannerisms and personalities are still the same, and everyone still knew each other somehow.
It was very like Groundhog's Day-esque.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
With Regina walking through the town every morning doing the same thing. Sure, their outfits changed, but it was the same conversations happening every single day.
I just want to note that I really liked the color of it in terms of like the filming and the cinematography. It was more pastel-y and then more like black and white, but then there was a pop of color on like Regina to her lips and clothing on certain people. I really liked that kind of effect. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. I like the saturation and the sepia tone.
And I love that they took note from, Dr. Whale's episode when we went to his land and it was all black and white. They made a way to show you the difference,
right?
So that you knew which time zone you were in. So that was very good. I love that part too. Let's talk about Mary Margaret as a teacher again, because we haven't seen her teach in a long time. I almost forgot that she was a teacher for a little bit, and I love that the class opening was the same way we saw her in season 1, episode 1, with that little bird flying into the thing. I was like, wow, okay. But my question at that point when I saw this was, I had this epiphany of, does Regina have control over who these people turned into in Storybrooke? Like, she enacted the curse, so how did people's personalities come through?
My guess is it was kind of more chosen at random. At the same time, of course, like their past self was put into play. Granny was still stuck with Hood, and then Snow still had some kind of link. Obviously, once she met John Doe, she was kind of gravitated towards him. She decided to volunteer and keep visiting him. So I think definitely there's some kind of...
It's true to them, their true selves.
Right, but it's also kind of random.
Yeah, I don't think Regina had control over people's personalities and the qualities about them, because when she enacted the curse, she wanted them to be at a place where there were no happy endings. So I think she started this curse so their outcomes and fates ended up differently, but not their personalities.
Okay.
Right. Well, I mean, like, I'm always like shocked to see Ruby the way she was in old school Storybrooke, because I almost forgot, because this second season, that since she remembers her former self, she's such a sweet girl. But there was a phase when she was a little,
She was a rebel.
She was a rebel.
Scandalously.
She was drinking or dressing
a little different.
She was showing a lot of skin.
Yes.
Yeah, she looked like
a
a
little
streetwalker.
Vivacious, questionable.
Questionable.
But that's how we saw her in season 1.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it was good to see her back like that. I don't know why I like
but
seeing her
the
like
streaks in the hair too.
Right.
red in there. Yeah, because I was just thinking, if Regina had control over picking, their personality traits, why would she make Mary Margaret such a nice and kind person? Because we saw as it went on that even that began to bug Regina, that, when they were walking down the street and she ran into Mary Margaret and Mary Margaret apologized and was like, oh no, I should have been watching where I was going. She's like, you're not even going to fight me over this? So it's almost annoying to Regina that, oh my gosh, like I ruined her happy ending, but she's still just so nice and sweet and everyone's going to love her.
I think what really bothered Regina was that was the realization that the curse, she thought she'd win, but then everything was like a Groundhog Day. So it was so monotonous and so dull. She wanted something uplifting and she wasn't getting it.
Yeah.
So I think that encounter with Mary Margaret was like, crap, no one is ready to face me, and everyone's just giving me like a hey, what's up, beautiful day, even though it was like gloomy.
Again, that goes back to Regina wanting people not to have happy endings, and here everyone's happy and content, and ironically she's the one that's not happy.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Until she meets Owen and Kurt, and Owen kind of, there's that whole scene in Granny's diner when we first meet them, and Regina's trying to figure out who they are, and then we're back in Granny's diner again, and they're sitting in her seat.
Yeah.
They're in my seat, which kind of made me think, like, the voice and the way she said it, her intonation sounded like, you're in my throne.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Kind of deal.
And we know that from the conversation she had with Mr. Gold in his shop that she's looking for something that Mr. Gold can't give her, is what she said. Because she has this hole in her heart that she needs something more. And Owen's kind of the first one to stand up to her, or against her in town, because she hadn't felt anyone, fighting her on any of the decisions she made. And so Owen talks back to her, which I loved seeing that little boy. Like, well, I'm already sitting here. I'm enjoying my breakfast. Leave me alone.
And it's nice to see Owen with that type of personality, especially because we see Henry, who's pretty much the same age, who's completely opposite. It's a nice foil to add to Regina.
It is. And so I thought Regina started off with good intentions with Owen and Kurt, but then she kind of changed into a psycho girlfriend who's trying to move way too fast. Like, oh my God, I love you. No, I don't. No, I don't. Let's get married. No, let's not.
Well, she's lonely and disheveled, and she's kind of a mess back in, like, of course the curse happened and it's not the way she wanted it to be. No one knows her. She's controlling everybody. And she's like, man, this kid can give me something different, and I need to hold on to him because he's supposed to leave tomorrow.
Yeah, because at dinner, and I love that for dinner she made the apple turnovers. That's like her go-to dessert. Homegirl needs to find a new dish.
Well, I just wanted some of her lasagna, even though the kids said it wasn't very good.
And the episode when Emma and them and Snow White came back from the old-time fairy tale, Regina made lasagna.
Oh,
yeah, didn't she make the lasagna for that party, right?
Lasagna with the pepper flakes.
So she's got two dishes.
Yeah, two dishes.
You're more than welcome to come over to AFTERBUZZ, Regina, and make us some lasagna.
Yeah, we'll take
I'm
some
fine
of
with that.
I'll pass on the apple turnover. Don't know what you're using in there, but everything else, yes. So it was really cute though, her interaction with Owen at this point, with the apple turnovers, and he tells her, why aren't you a mom? And you'd be a good mom. You'd be a really good mom. And I think that's the first time Regina kind of realized that a child is what she's missing.
Right.
So that's what my mind went into, because we do know that Mr. Gold eventually somehow does get Henry for Regina, even though she said, I need something that you can't help me with. It's like, oh, okay, like this is where the thoughts of Henry started.
See, so maybe you guys can fill me in on this. I got a little confused, as Once loves to do to me. Rumpel did he really have no recollection?
You know what? I was wondering the same thing.
Okay, because I was like, I don't know.
Because I know we've discussed it in the past where maybe his memories started coming back to him when Emma got into town, and that's when, you know, the clock started moving, and that's when he started remembering.
Okay.
But then I'm not sure that I believe that he didn't know in that moment. I think he was still kind of letting her believe, because he can use the information later on, you know, like,
as he did.
As he did. Like, oh, she doesn't know that I know, but I know.
Right. But then,
I think he still does know, because even before the curse was enacted, he was powerful and all-knowing, and he's too powerful of a person to immediately forget. And he was evasive when Regina asked him. He wasn't really answering the question, so I think he still does.
Yeah, and it was his curse. Why would you create a curse that you're gonna forget everything on? I think he would find a loophole for himself, because he did also make the deal with Regina before doing the curse. He said, when we get to this new land, I want my situation to be better than it is here, which is why he is Mr. Gold and practically runs the town.
Right, but didn't he, like, I feel like I remember him saying, like, he also thought he'd forget during the curse, and that's why he wrote down Emma's name, and that's why he knew that Emma would help trigger his memory back, because he wanted to be part of the curse to get Neil, right? Anyway, I just want to figure that out, but
it's a tricky question, because Gold is such a tricky character, you never know until it actually comes out of his mouth.
So viewers, if you viewers have any information,
what's your opinion, guys? Let us know, please, because that's a really good question right there. So Regina goes on to try and stall this poor father and son from leaving town. She even goes to see our favorite mechanic before he was sadly gone, Gus. Oh.
Nice to see him back.
Yeah, it was good to see him back. I'm glad that they brought him back. I'm so glad they brought back Sheriff Graham.
That's all I was about to say.
That, but Sheriff Graham is back, and I think we all gasped. Yay, he's back! That was a touching moment. I wish he hadn't died. I wish he was still around.
I know, sometimes I wish he'll come back.
Yeah, sometimes I wish they would find a way to get him back, but still stay true to, like, the story. But then it's like, bringing back a zombie or something, like, how cliche and
maybe it's in the science book with Whale or something.
Maybe he's just in a different land, guys. We just gotta find him.
I don't know. His heart's pretty crushed right now.
Yeah, it is. So the mechanic can't really do anything because they've already picked up their car. So Regina rushes back to her office, gets out the box with Sheriff Graham's heart in it, and starts talking to the heart, telling him to find the car, find the boy and his father, stop them before they cross the line, and to arrest the father for drunk driving and bring the son to me. And then she turns around and there's Kurt right there. Hears the whole thing, sees the whole thing. How weirded out are you when you hear that? Not only is she talking to a heart, but she just said basically she was going to kidnap your son, who just lost his mother 6 months ago.
I mean, she must be a very welcoming lady to leave her door open. I mean, if I was Regina the queen, evil queen, I would have had a fortress of a house. I was kind of surprised that he was right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was pretty bad.
But I liked how Regina gave that order to Graham's heart, because it sounded so much like the evil queen trying to give the huntsman demands to kill Snow White. It was very much the same
very
way.
paralleled.
That's so true. I really
Didn't
like
even
that.
think of it like that, Marisa.
Yeah.
Marissa's having some great ideas. 3 a.m. text messages from Marisa are the best when she texts you. I just put it together, guys. Regina Miller's daughter.
Yes. Epiphany
Thanks,
moment.
Marisa.
It
just clicked.
But it was great because it clicked for me too. It was just 3 o'clock in the morning, so I didn't get it at that
was
moment.
Cool. It was.
So then here comes Sheriff Graham, storms into the office, trying to take down Kurt, trying to arrest him for drunk driving.
Which is hilarious.
So funny.
I haven't laughed that hard in a while because homeboy wasn't even driving. And
Or drunk.
Or drunk. And he says it, I'm not even driving. How are you arresting me for drunk driving? And he tries to tell Graham, you know, you're being controlled. She was talking to something in a box. She has control over you. And he's like, oh, you sound crazy, and you're not the drunk one right now. And he pushes over the box with a heart on it, and that kind of stalls Graham because, you know, he doesn't know what's happening with his chest at that moment. So he's able to escape and make it to the car where Owen's waiting for him, and they just take off on this high-speed chase through Storybrooke.
In Storybrooke, that was actually kind of cool.
It was, right? Car chases are, like, the best thing to watch on the news. Everyone stops their day when there's a good car chase in LA.
True.
That happens at my work. We have TVs on, and then there's on the speakerphones like car chase, and then we watch the car chase.
Yeah, you will spend like 20 minutes watching people on car chases because they're so exciting. And this was a very exciting car chase.
Especially in Storybrooke, such a small town where
Small
everyone's
town.
doing the exact same
Yeah.
thing every single day, and that car chase goes through you. Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone's gonna
Like the
notice
one
that.
car driving down the street was like, what? I've never had
I
another car
know.
driving with me before.
I think it was really smart that he pushed the heart box.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't have thought of it. I'm like, I'm screwed.
Like,
but
I
he-
don't know what to do.
Bam, smart.
So as they go through this car chase, Sheriff Graham and Regina are able to cut them off right before the city line. And Kurt tells Owen to get out of the car and to run. Don't stop, keep running, call your uncle, and, you know, be safe. And there's this whole father-son moment where he's like, I don't want to leave you. And it's like, no, but you have to. Just go. And so kid takes off running. Sheriff Graham comes and gets him, and the kid stops just short of the line and is watching his father being manhandled by, you know, Sheriff Graham. And as a kid, not only is this whole thing probably scarring because you don't actually know
Very
what's
disturbing.
happening, but then to see your dad being taken away from you when you don't even realize. And then here's this super sweet lady, Regina, who's been so nice to you, made you feel so welcome. She's trying to talk him into coming back. Like, it's okay, I'm not gonna hurt you. I just want us to be happy. You said you wanted to stay. And he said, yeah, but not like this.
Right.
Or not this way.
Not like this.
Not
I
like,
think.
yeah, not like this. And you can just, and Regina lets him go, which I wasn't sure if she was or not. What did you guys think she was gonna do in that moment?
I mean, considering the future, I knew she was going to let him go.
Yeah.
Because I know that Henry somehow had to have been a replacement. So I had a feeling that he would be let go. What did you think at that time?
Yeah, I thought Regina was gonna let him go because right now at this particular point, she's not at the point to like kill anyone, or she doesn't really have any vengeance against anyone new at Storybrooke, and yeah, and she came on so strong to Kurt and Owen. I think the least she could do was let him go.
At that point, though, if you're gonna let the kid go, why can't you also let the father go? Because even if they both run back into town and say a crazy lady tried to kidnap us and kill us and do all this stuff, when they came back like Owen does later on with the police and there's nothing there, they just would have seemed like crazies and been locked up in a mental institution for a little bit. So what was why keep his dad?
See, I totally thought that too when we were watching it. Like, why, if she's going to let the son go, she needs to let the whole package go. But then, of course, ending is like, oh, there has to be a story to this. And, you know.
Question is, where's the father?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is he still
Kurt.
alive?
He better be alive because I want to know how
Stuck
he
in
is.
Storybrooke.
And I know that we've all had our things with Regina. I know that Kaori's a Team Regina fan here. But I think that tonight's episode, when she's standing there, when Owen's back, I'm like, no, my dad's back there. There's a town, Storybrooke, and I know he's back there, and he talks to the little lanyard and says, Dad, I'll never stop looking for you. And Regina's right there and like trying to touch him. She's crying. I was heartbroken for her.
No.
And I felt bad for Regina before, but I've never felt heartbroken for her before. And in that moment, I was heartbroken.
I feel bad for her because we see now in present day that she doesn't have Henry, and then we also see it that that happened already in the past where she couldn't get this son, or this little kid, to be part of her family either. So just having those two occurrences that where she can't get someone that she loves into her life is sad.
I think it's really sad and tragic for Regina because I'm a pro Regina girl, but I'm not. I'm filled with tons of Regina disappointments. She kind of has like a social inability, and that's probably what causes a lot of things that happen to her. I mean, if she didn't get all obsessive and girlfriendy on the kid, maybe they would have had time to spend more time.
They've known you a day.
Yeah.
And you first of all, you
Couple
invite them
hours?
over to dinner at your house, which, okay, small town, nice neighbor. But then you're talking to the kid and you invite them to move there?
Yeah.
Whoa. That's moving a little, that's stage 10 clinger right
And
there.
it's so
She went
funny.
0 to 60.
She was like, I don't care about the hot father. I'm all about the cute little kid.
Yeah. If she had been thinking about herself and like, oh yeah, he would be great to date, you know, Kurt. But no, she was only after
Just
that
the
kid. She wanted to be a stepmom.
Yeah.
Again.
She's just unfortunate that she has a lot of she's been raised awkwardly and uncomfortably, that she doesn't know how to get things the way she should try to get them, so she gets them in bad ways and then ends up not getting them.
I think maybe the reason why she wants a kid so badly is because her parents, she wasn't raised the ideal way from her parents. So if she had a kid, she would have like a whole fresh start. She, her kid would be like raised with love and be cared for by someone. You know, her kid would have a better life. I think she did.
I think she also wants to have love in return. Like she wants to be appreciated. I don't think she feels that at all.
That goes with something else I have to say for the
So,
rest
last
of it.
question about this though. Do you think Regina still has the lanyard that Owen gave her at the diner? Did she keep it?
Yes, because Regina is sentimental. We've learned in season 1 that she's kept little magical items here and there that mean the most to her. So I think she still has it.
I think she does
Yeah,
too.
I think she has to have it still.
Yeah. All right. Well, guys, if you're not watching us live right now on AfterBuzzTV.com, please go to iTunes, rate us, subscribe to our podcast, leave a comment, do whatever you need to do. Give us 5 stars, and let us know what you like, what you don't like about the show. We're trying to make a show that is for the fans, so we love to hear your input, and let us know how we can make this experience better and more magical for you. Like how I threw in the magical there?
Nice.
Yeah, I did that on purpose. I'm smart sometimes. All right, so now let's talk about present day Storybrooke, because there is a lot happening there too.
Yeah.
There was a lot happening. So it starts off with Regina at her mother's casket. Is that a mausoleum? Is that what that tomb thing's called?
Yeah, mausoleum.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
Well, obviously me neither.
Yeah.
It's mausoleum.
Glad someone up here knows what they're talking about.
I grew up literally at the entrance of a cemetery, so yes.
Oh, there you
it's
go.
Mausoleum.
Explains
That
a
paid
lot.
off.
Yeah. So Mr. Gold shows up as she's mourning and says that he's coming to pay his respects to Cora because she will always have a place in his heart. Which Regina, of course, throws back in his face. Like, you killed her to save yourself, so how dare you say this? So Regina says, you know, I'm going to kill Mary Margaret. She has to pay for what she did. Now, out of that conversation, did we think that Mr. Gold would actually warn and help them with Regina? Because he goes straight to Mary Margaret's apartment and tells them, hey, just so you guys know, this isn't over. Regina's out for blood. She's coming after you guys.
Before I was thinking initially, I really liked I love it when Regina and Rumple have a conversation because they're my 2 favorite people in this whole entire show. And I love that Rumple said some really good points. He said, like, you just need to quit the vengeance thing because more blood will be shed, and like you can't have both. And I think he's right. So, anyway, back to your thing.
That is true. You can't have
you
your
can't
cake.
have everything.
Can't have your cake and eat it too.
And that's the theme throughout the whole thing there, with this whole you can't have everything with Regina, who wants it all.
Yeah, even when she tries to get it all, it's not the correct way. But yeah, I do think that I did have a feeling Rumple would go straight to his family, only because he does have a kind of debt to them, whether he wants to admit it or not. He owes his life to that family at this point. He has to tell them something.
Considering he almost just died, and they were the reason that he's alive now. So
do we think that the new Rumple well, not new Rumple, but this kind of family-oriented Rumple is going to last.
I don't know. I mean, he did go to the mausoleum to tell Regina like to stop doing it, which I think was to protect them. But I do want to see more of his interaction with Neil, actually.
Yeah.
And maybe then we'll see more of a more improved Rumple. Even an interaction more with Henry, because that's his direct grandson.
Who he may or may not have to kill because, you know, he's the kid.
That's another
Oracle.
one.
That's another story.
Yeah, right?
A whole nother thing. So this is when we find out that Mary Margaret is basically in a state of pure, it's not depression, but she's just in like a comatose type of state of mind where she's
out of commission.
Yeah, she's just out.
Yeah, she's
for the
like
count
a
right
ghost.
now. Yeah, and you know, Henry's around and they're not telling him the full story still. And Henry gets so mad when they lie to him and he always throws in their face, oh, like you lied about my dad, or oh, you're just like my other mom because you're lying to me too and making me feel dumb. Like, kid, I get it, you're upset, and they should
move on.
Learn. But I mean, you can't keep throwing the same thing in their face. Well, I guess for a little while longer you can, but not for too much longer.
I mean, he just got a new dad. He should be ecstatic.
Yeah, he should be spending all his time with his dad.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Be excited.
But a kid knows when someone's not telling. And that especially goes to the moment where Henry knew Emma was lying to him.
Oh.
And just like Emma knows when people are lying to her.
It's like, a family thing.
It is a family
That's
thing.
a blood gift right there.
Yeah, it's a family thing. So basically we find out that Regina had been looking for something in the mausoleum. She ends up finding this, what was it, a roll with a spell on it. And Rumple,
like a scroll.
Yeah, a scroll. Did I say a roll?
Yeah.
I was thinking of bread. I don't know why. But Rumple is able to figure out that based on some of the ingredients around that are missing, what was missing? Because I didn't quite
Chimera blood and viper's eye.
There you go.
I don't know what those things
I have
are.
those two things in my pocket right now.
Yeah. Right? But basically, this is something that could force someone into thinking that they love you, or at least going through the act of loving you. It reminded me of kind of what maybe Sheriff Graham was going through. She had control of his heart, but she was still able to feel that sort of connection where he was confused about how he felt about her because
obviously he was being controlled.
Yeah, he was being controlled, but you know, a spell like this is not good for Regina. And the kicker is that the final ingredient is the heart of the person who she hates the most, which at this point is Mary Margaret. So it becomes protect Mary Margaret time, and let's all work together. And they do throw in Gold's face, you know, you owe us a debt and you always pay your debts, right?
So true.
So true, right?
Throwing his words at him.
Yeah. His own words at him. So Gold's kind of there to watch over, I guess. And
the watchdog.
Yeah, the watchdog of the group. Meanwhile, Emma has taken Henry over to Granny's diner to see his dad, Neil. And Henry's so smart. Because, you know, here comes Ruby with an ice cream sundae with, like, double everything. And
I mean, that would have me hooked.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have been thinking, hey, they want something from me. I'd be like, oh, sweet. Like, Dad's trying to suck up to me to, you know, really show he loves me. No, Dad wants to bribe you into going to New York with him. But Henry's plan, which is smart in theory, is why don't we just get rid of magic in Storybrooke? Because magic is the root of everything that's wrong. Because I have my mom's fighting, my grandma might get killed. His thought is that, you know, let's just get rid of magic. So he excuses himself to go to the bathroom, but takes his backpack with him. And Neil over here is feeling really good about himself. You know, he's like, oh, yeah, I've been a dad for 3 days, and I got this. He's in the bathroom, then we're going to go pack up all his stuff and leave it to Emma to come over and be like, where's his backpack? He's your son. You're like the king of disappearing.
He's your son. That was so great the way she said it. Oh.
It really was. So Henry's taken off. Meanwhile, Emma had a conversation with Greg up at the counter. Greg Mendell, who is the patient at the hospital right now, who We don't
Finally
know.
out of the hospital.
Yeah, finally out of the hospital. We did not know why he was there, but we had some theories of
As of what business does
what
he have
business he
still
had
here?
in there. Right? Why is he so nosy, and who's her?
Why
Yeah,
is he
exactly.
sticking
Who is her?
around?
Yeah, who is
Yeah,
her? Why is
who
he
is her?
sticking around? So he says that he's going for a hike because the doctor said that it would be good for him to get out and move around. So it's at this point when Regina comes storming into Snow's apartment, and we find out the gold is like the watchdog. And then Henry's running around in the woods, and he runs right into Greg. And it's kind of like that moment. Oh, there it is right there on the screen. It's that moment of, you know, they're both surprised to see someone else out there because they're both up to something that no one should know about.
And how funny is it that their lives are parallel?
They're like,
Kind
So
of.
parallel.
You know?
they don't even know.
They don't even know.
Don't even know. But I thought it was interesting because Greg kind of snaps a picture. We heard a camera
Yeah.
click, and I was like, what is he doing? Did he just take a picture of Henry's address? And I wondered why, which came into play later because he calls Regina and lets Regina know where Henry is. Regina at this point doesn't even know Henry has run off. And then, you know, you have Emma, Neil, and David and Ruby all looking for him. They use Ruby as a dog.
Like a German Shepherd
Yeah.
police.
Like a hunting dog, like
Bloodhound.
all the time. I start the times that she's been around because, I mean, she hasn't been around that much, but, you know, she's been inserting herself a little bit. And it's always like, hey, we need to find someone. Can you track them for us? We only want to use you for your power, your superpower that you have right now.
But in season 1, when Ruby was on that case, you know, with
Yeah.
the whole thing with Catherine, when she went out to the bridge, wherever that was, you know, she found like little thing that the box with the finger. So we've learned that Ruby is actually a pretty good tracker
Yeah.
naturally.
Naturally.
So
Yeah, so
she can
Regina.
add to it.
Regina shows up and she tries to talk Henry out of putting a bomb down the well. Dynamite down the well to destroy magic. Which, would that have even worked?
See, that's what I was
Because
kind
it's
of
already
puzzled.
in there, so I feel like you would have to actually suck the magic out as opposed to just blow up the well.
I don't think that there's when Henry was talking about just getting rid of magic, that's when I felt like, oh, he's still a kid, because for me that's impossible. I can't imagine how Kate Citizen Horror is going to make that happen if it happens.
Yeah, I think the way to get rid of magic is you have to use magic to get rid of magic.
I don't know. It's one of those things.
It's a slippery slope. The more you use it, the more powerful you think you are. And anyways, so Regina does one of her whooshes, the whoosh, and you know the dynamite just disappears, and
That was cool.
then Emma and David and Neil all show up, and there's a big standoff, which I thought was interesting because, you know, they're like, no, Henry, get back over here, get away from our son. And Henry's trying to convince Regina, like, I don't want you to use the spell on me because it won't be me loving you. It'll just be, you know, you just make me think that I do instead. And I can't even, it happened so fast, this whole little exchange, that I didn't even see what prompted it, but all of a sudden Regina had a fireball and David's gun was out. And I was like, oh, magic versus, like, a gun. Who wins in that?
Well, I think a gun would definitely.
Is Regina's whoosh fast enough to stop a bullet from piercing her heart?
Well, she has a.
She had a fireball.
Yeah, so she might be a little occupied with one hand. I don't know.
I don't know. Regina, I think Regina kind of has the upper hand because magic is so important and integral in Storybrooke.
She's got to be able to use the right spell, I guess, because there are 3 of them.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, one whoosh with her hand could get rid of all 3 of them,
Right.
send
True.
them flying into the trees, knocked unconscious. But Henry, you know, gives this heart-compelling speech. He stands in between a fireball and a gun, which is pretty ballsy for a kid.
He knows that.
I mean,
none
he
of
knows
them
that
are gonna
on
hurt him.
either side, like no
Won't
one's gonna.
hurt
But
him.
there is that whole friendly fire thing where people get harmed.
He's like Switzerland, you know. No one's gonna touch him.
No one wants to, but sometimes things just happen. So, anyways, Regina ends up just burning the curse because she's like, Henry, I can't get rid of magic for you because in her heart she knows that she still wants vengeance. So she burns up the parchment. David lets Gold know, and Gold kind of says to Mary Margaret back at the apartment, I guess my job here is done. I can go now. And this is the first time we've heard Mary Margaret speak all episode. She goes, how do you do it? How do you live with yourself after all the terrible things you've done? And his response was, you have to tell yourself you did the right thing. And eventually, over time, if you tell yourself that enough, one day you might believe it.
Yeah. I actually don't think that Rumple is done protecting them. I think he's going to keep on protecting them somehow.
Even if they don't know that he's protecting them, I feel like he has such a strong sense of family because he spent so much time trying to find his son that...
Yeah, and then he was heartbroken by a wife, and I think he's really invested in Neil, and then he is invested in Henry. I don't know how that's going to turn out. So in turn, he's invested in Emma and Snow and David. So I love Rumple again. Heart.
These dark characters that
I
I have a hard
do.
time liking most
I root
weeks.
for Regina more so than Rumple.
These are the kind of guys I go for. Right?
Great taste. So then Mary Margaret, that didn't sit well with her. So she just shows up at Regina's heart and starts pretty much begging her to kill her. Like, take my heart, crush it. This feud that we have it's been going on for too long. It's never going to end. So let's stop it before someone else gets killed. And at this point, Regina had a great line where she says that she never learns from her mistakes. And then she reaches in and grabs the heart. And at that point, I was like, oh my gosh, she did it!
Yeah.
I mean, we saw in the preview for the episode, last week that she went in for it, but I was kind of like, oh, maybe it was her dreaming that she did it because that's her ultimate goal. But she actually went in and grabbed that heart. But little did anyone know, Snow's got a little darkness growing. When she first saw the dark spot, I thought it was like, isn't that a sign of cancer?
I know,
or
but
something in the lung when there's black dots in your lung. I was like, oh my gosh, she has cancer. And then I realized that no.
So do you guys think like the heart has to be in the human to turn it dark? Because Cora's pretty dark and her heart was red.
That's true.
I thought about that. I'm like, I wonder.
Maybe since the heart lives on, even outside of the body, it can continue to grow dark.
I know, but like Cora's heart was red.
Very red.
Very
it
red.
was very red.
Yeah.
So maybe Cora wasn't as dark as we thought she was.
I don't know. She's pretty dark to me.
She was pretty dark. She was kind of crazy. So basically, Regina then realizes that Snow's actually slowly killing herself and is punishing herself at this point. So there's no point to kill her because eventually she will have it all. She will get everything, even Henry, because Snow's heart is going to continue to grow darker to the point where she's going to start hurting her own friends and family.
And she's going to destroy herself.
And she's going to destroy herself.
Do you think that's true?
No.
Snow
But
turning evil?
she's on the path to becoming dark.
But now that she knows she's on the path, will that make it easier for her to fight the darkness?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, she is the ultimate good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Snow
That
White
dark-
will fight for good.
Yeah. That dark was spreading really fast, too, for how pure she
Well, I think it's because
is.
she's like in this depressive stage and she's letting herself be depressed. So
Yeah.
once she like starts being positive again, maybe the heart will, cover up and
Never
red
go
again.
back.
And then here's the greatest ending ever. We see that Greg has been watching this whole time on Regina's porch, sees her reach in and grab the heart, sees the heart in her hand, even sees her put the heart back inside of Snow. And then he looks down, and on his key ring of his car, he had the lanyard from his dad. And he says, Dad, I will always look for you. And I was like, yes!
Yeah.
He is Owen.
Yes.
Which earlier
Tiana called it.
I did.
Tiana spoiled it for us.
Tiana
We're like,
called it.
thanks. No,
I'm
we were
sorry.
happy.
I made them pause the TV.
No, that was a great.
Yeah, I never have
True.
great moments when I'm watching the episodes.
You
where
have
I
a lot of
figure it
great
out.
moments, girl.
I never figure it out beforehand. I'm always wrong. So I was very excited that turned out to be
Yeah.
Owen.
And you called that early, so
Yeah.
props to you.
Yeah, when you called, I was like, oh,
You're like, his name's different.
please be right.
But now at least we know why Greg is in Storybrooke.
Yeah.
So that will actually help us, along. Of course, when will someone start asking him questions, instead of letting him just kind of be around the town, maybe question,
Right.
hey, you're good to go home. Why don't you leave?
Right, but I think it's interesting how Greg, now Owen, that we now found out that it was so coincidental that he just happens to come back to Storybrooke once magic just returned. Like the timing couldn't have been better.
Yeah, maybe that has something to do because, you know, they couldn't see Storybrooke on the city line
Right.
forever. So maybe when magic came back, maybe somehow the line opened up again. I don't know how he found Storybrooke, but that's what we need to figure out is how he got back there when he clearly couldn't get there before.
Well, I think I'm with you there. Like when the magic came out and the line became more evident because obviously that's where magic can't happen. So maybe that was his time to get back. And I love the fact that there's a stranger in Storybrooke now. At first I was like, why is he still roaming around the hospital? But it just makes such good sense. And I just can't wait to... there's a second one in Storybrooke probably, right? His dad? If he's still alive.
Yeah, if his dad. Where's his dad? Is his dad locked up in one of the hospital rooms like Belle was?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I mean,
is he in a dungeon somewhere? Where is his father? Where's Kurt?
Yeah, I think it's interesting how Owen was still the stranger back in 1983 and in present day.
Good catch there. So that was a great episode. I really enjoyed it. I can't wait to see where they move on from this. Now we're gonna go into a special segment that Marisa has because she's really excited.
I'm so excited. Okay, so for all you oncers, you may know that I believe it was Titan magazine.
Yeah.
They've released this exclusive 148 Once Upon a Time magazine for all y'all.
Yay.
Look at that. If you're not watching on YouTube, I highly suggest you watch us. So
just to see the cover?
Yes, just to read it. So Tiona and I have been, like, I'm sure all of us have, but Tiona and I have been looking all over the place in LA. Like, I went to so many stores I can't even remember how many.
I can't count how many stores I went to.
I literally, this weekend, I found it at the most random place. A Blockbuster.
Blockbuster?
Wow.
A Blockbuster, of all places. I'm like, what is this doing here?
They still have Blockbusters?
What were you doing at a Blockbuster?
I'm a film major. So I found it at Blockbuster. Sure, of course I bought it, and I started reading it. I haven't finished the whole thing because it's 148 pages. Usually I read things all the way through in one sitting, and then I'm sad at the end. I'm like, oh, it's over. So since this is an exclusive magazine, I want to, like, spread it out a bit, you know? Like, let it cherish.
Yeah, that's cool.
So it has some great interviews from the writers and the cast members, such as Jennifer Lawrence, Lana Parrilla.
Not Jennifer Lawrence.
Not Jennifer Lawrence. Jennifer Morrison. Sorry.
Jennifer Lawrence should be on Once Upon a Time, though.
Yeah, she should. Oh my God, that'd be
Anytime.
awesome.
She can
like
come.
Katniss King.
Yeah, Katniss Everdeen.
That'd be awesome.
Bring her in.
That'd be down. I want to see that, oncers. And so a lot of great interviews. I highly suggest you go out and find it, or you can order it online, I'm sure. And there are some good quotes from some of the interviews. I just kind of want to give you a little snippet.
All right.
Like the writers, like us as the audience, you know, we have a hard time trying to follow all the storylines. But the writers also mentioned that they have a difficult time trying to follow the three different storylines, especially at the beginning. The first half of this season 2, you know, they had a hard time distinguishing present day Storybrooke to the old time fairy tale Storybrooke and the flashback.
Oh gosh, yeah,
fairy
that
tale
was so confusing.
That was hard, so they had a hard time, you know, keeping those stories straight too. A quote from Lana Parrilla's interview, she mentioned the wardrobes that Regina has to wear. She likes the costumes, and she said, you feel like an action hero, because I do. I feel kind of heroic when I put them on, even though her character is a little far from heroic. So, and another good quote about Lana, she talks about the characters Daniel and Henry and what she wants. She said that Regina wants to love, wants to feel love, and to give love, which also goes with the storyline. She wants to love Henry, and she wants Henry to love her back. So this whole just giving love and that whole aspect.
We were right.
Yeah, that aspect. Jorge Garcia, who, as we know, played the giant. When they were shooting his scenes for the dialogue, you know, because he's a giant, they said he had to look at a Barbie doll. for the sizing because he's a giant and he had to look at, Hook and Emma when they were on the ground. So they used a Barbie doll to get that sizing.
Oh, cool.
I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
And then, and also when they filmed the scene where Jorge, the giant, picks up Emma, that he was actually holding a Barbie doll.
Cool.
So that was cool. I
Tricks
like
of the trade.
Yeah, I like that aspect of filmmaking. And Jared Gilmore, who plays Henry, of course, he said the one thing he really wants to do was have a sword fight in Fairy Tale Land.
Ooh.
I think that can happen.
I
mean, we
think
saw
that
the
can
practice with David, right?
Yeah, he was practicing.
Yeah.
Which I'm just gonna throw this out there in an early prediction. I think if they go to Neverland and Henry goes along, he's going to have a sword fight with a pirate.
That has to happen.
That would be awesome.
That would.
He kind of would get his wish granted in that way if it becomes true. So I highly suggest go out and buy the Once magazine if you can find it. It's
Blockbuster.
It's an exclusive stores. Try Blockbuster if you can't find it anywhere else, and if not, go online.
Yeah.
And buy it. It's a great read. I haven't finished it yet, and
I know.
I'm gonna enjoy it.
You already gave us just like 5 points, but I bet there's tons more in there.
So much more, and there's a lot of pictures and just great insight.
Love it.
To Once.
Can't wait. All right, let's get into some news and gossip.
AFTERBUZZ TV News.
Okay, guys. So there's this interview with Ginny Goodwin and Bailey Madison, who plays Young Snow, from the AP. And Bailey is just so well spoken, and she's so adult like, and she's only 13 years old, guys. Okay, I keep forgetting that she's only 13. Well, she was talking about how she's always being told, oh, you look so much like Ginny, you look so much like her. But not only did she want to look like her, she wanted to actually be like her and act like her. So this girl assigned herself some homework before coming onto the set and asked for footage of Ginny's scenes and practiced her mannerisms and her facial expressions and everything. And I thought I was like, wow, she takes her craft very seriously for a 13-year-old girl who most kids would be like, oh no, I want to have fun and go do what I want to do on the weekends. She said her computer is full of screen captures of Jennifer Goodwin's face, just facial expressions and everything. And you could see it because last week's episode, that was one of the things I noticed I was like, oh my gosh, they cry the same.
Yeah,
So
they had that very.
It was so on point. So she did a great job on that. Great job. In other news, so there should be a big congratulations to Megan Ori, who plays Ruby or Red. She has been cast as a female lead in a CBS pilot drama called Intelligence, opposite Lost star Josh Holloway. So what does this mean for Ruby on Once Upon a Time? Everyone's been freaking out over this moment on Twitter.
I'm like freaking out right now.
So according to her contract for the CBS show, the CBS show is in first position. So right now it's just a pilot. If it does get picked up, then she will hold on to that first position credit. She will go to the show, even if Once Upon a Time is renewed for a third season, which it hasn't officially been renewed, but we're all assuming it's going to get renewed. But the good part is that both of the shows are produced by ABC Studios, so it's allowing flexibility where we could see Red, even though she won't be in every episode, because she was promoted to season regular for season 2 after last year's pilot season, when she was getting a lot of interest and offers for shows to leave. They made her a series regular this season. Of course, we haven't seen her that much this season, so I can kind of see where she's like, maybe I will test out the waters elsewhere. But she sent out a tweet to all her fans that said, "Thanks all, very excited for Intelligence, but fret not, little Reds. I predict we haven't seen the last of Red or Ruby in the big blue coat." So there is hope that she will still be around, even if she has to do 2 shows at once. That's the kind of dedication she has for her fans.
You can do it.
She can do it. So in news that just keeps getting bigger, this whole spin-off show, they're now casting, they're looking for their Alice right now. They've cast a couple people, but they're sent out a little casting notice. It's set to shoot at the end of April. They're just doing a test run of it to see if they like it. But they're casting for an Alice who's being described as a British 20-something is young but has already had a hard life and carries some emotional scars. Amal, who is Middle Eastern, attractive and soulful. And the Knave, who is a loner and a heartbreaker. And the Knave in Lewis Carroll's novel is actually on trial for burglary, and Alice comes to his defense. So there's no word about a Mad Hatter. They did say that if they had a Mad Hatter, they weren't going to recast Sebastian Stan, because a lot of people were thinking that that might happen. And Horowitz actually said that this will be its own thing. So everyone keeps calling it a spinoff of Once Upon a Time, where it is, but it isn't, because it's actually going to have nothing to do with the storylines we see on Once. So it will be its own, just Wonderland kind of themed show, which I thought that could work. No? Marissa's face says no.
I still don't like it.
Marissa's still not
I'm
behind
with you.
I
this.
think it's too premature to have a spinoff. I mean, it's only Once Upon a Time is only in its second season. They're finally getting like steady good ratings. I mean, even though the first season had great ratings, but it's still finding its footing. You know, there's still more characters and storylines to
explore.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Right.
I feel kind of like I don't want a new show to deter the attraction of this this show right now.
And very rarely do spin-offs do better than its predecessor. Predecessor.
Yeah, there you go.
That's the word.
So we'll see how that happens. Maybe we'll get to see the episode. Maybe not. Who knows? I mean, it still could not happen. The studio could decide, no, we've seen it, we don't like it.
One step at a time.
Yeah, one step at a time. So then, lastly, TV Guide did another lightning round with Adam Horowitz and Eddie Kitsis. And just a couple highlights from there. They were asked if we would see Aurora and Mulan again this season, to which they said, can't say. So I think there is a possibility. Maybe we'll see them. They were also asked if Neil was Peter Pan, basically. And their answer to that, because it said that, you know, a lot of people are assuming since he's been to Neverland that he is Peter Pan. And they said that Twitter's making an assumption. We can't answer questions based on assumptions. So
I'm going to assume.
Yeah, so maybe he's not Peter. Maybe he is a lost boy like we talked about last week, but I still want him to be Peter Pan and them to be making a trick on us.
Well, he does know how to, like, control a ship.
Steer a ship.
Yeah.
Steer a ship.
Maybe he
he's
was
just
a pirate. And that's why Hook knew him, or he knew Hook.
Maybe he's just
Maybe he was just a pirate there.
But then, like, it seems
Who
like
hooks up
Hook.
with Tiger Lily.
Yeah.
But doesn't it seem like Hook and Neil like knew each other on a personal, like, kind of like an exceptional level? Like the way, like, Hook was like, "Oh, your son won't want you," or whatever.
Yeah.
But has Hook and Neil, have we seen them together yet?
Not
Just-
yet.
No.
Just in when Hook stabs.
I don't.
No,
I know
no,
he missed
because
them.
Neil was upstairs.
Oh, yeah, he was
with
upstairs
Henry,
for
so
that.
we haven't really seen those two characters
when
interact
he was
yet.
he was knocked out already when
Yeah,
he
right.
was like, oh, Hook, and
So maybe until they interact with each other on screen, we'll see.
yeah, and
Very
then
cool.
just another couple things. They were asked if there will be death before the end of the season, and Kitsis said, I hope so.
I'm thinking so.
Horowitz said there will be prices paid towards the end of the season. So sort of we might see a death. I don't know. But my favorite question was, if magic runs in the family, could Henry also have magical powers? And they said that's always a possibility. He is the product of both dark and light magic. So could that combo of those two feuding
That's
magics be
true.
more powerful than
Right, Henry's the product?
Henry is the product of dark and light
Yeah,
magic?
that's
So then
so
what's
true.
Neil's dark?
Well, his
His
grandpa.
grandpa
Mm-mm.
was dark there, and then you have the good magic. So
I mean,
it'd be
both his
interesting to see if
grandparents,
we got
yeah.
Henry into the fairy tale world and he started acting out to see what kind of magic he can produce. Is it stronger than his mom's magic, which is the product of true love?
Nothing
still-
stronger than true love.
Yeah.
I don't know. Be interesting to see. So that's all I got for news and gossip. So let's move into predictions.
A lot of that gossip gives us great predictions.
AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
Who wants to start with their predictions?
Oh, goodness. You can start.
Why don't you start? Because
With me, there's so much happening. Next week's episode, Selfless, Brave, and True.
that's the
And
title.
That's the title
Yeah.
of
Okay.
it. And boy, did it look crazy on screen. You had Neil's fiance coming back. So and
She's, like,
she's
dark.
Yeah, she looks like she's a
She
dark
did
magic.
She
look
has like the
dark.
vendetta.
Yeah, she looked like she had like some dark magic or something.
All right, well,
about
let's
her.
be fair. I mean, Neil's been hanging out with Emma. Maybe she's just like, you are about to steal my man. I mean, it could be
Maybe
something
she
as
was just
simple as
pissed
that.
about that. But my question for next week is, she's on her way to Storybrooke, which Storybrooke, remember, didn't exist.
Mhm.
So now we're just inviting people in.
I thought
predict
that
that
too.
she is a magical being.
Mm-hmm.
Not positive that it's Tiger Lily. I like that idea, but yeah, I don't know. So I predict that next week, hopefully we will find out who Neil's fiance really is, and that Snow, we'll start seeing Snow dark.
I mean, I do think she's going to be someone dark, but I'm just kind of hoping that she's not someone from Fairy Tale Land and she's just a normal person, because it would be too easy for Neil to like be dating someone who is also related to his past. You know?
It's like he keeps finding those girls.
Yeah, like what are the odds? The United States is huge.
But if you think about it, everyone in Storybrooke, they're all related somehow.
I know, but
they all
like
hook up with each other.
you got to give us simpletons a chance. You know?
Yes.
I don't know.
And August is back.
August
kind
is
of.
back.
Yeah.
So I
He's
can't
still
wait to
in
hear.
wooden form.
Yeah, he's still in wooden
Mm-hmm.
form. So I can't wait to hear his story of what he's been up to for the past 16 episodes,
Right.
because he was
Yeah.
there season.
Why is he
episode
still
1.
in wooden form? If magic is back, don't you think that would help him transform back to maybe a human self?
But his true self is the wooden form.
That's
That's
true.
true. But
And-
some of the characters in Once Upon a Time, their true selves are animals and
Yeah.
crickets and stuff.
It's true. Maybe just to be a place in the States, you need to have like a human. Oh wait, that doesn't make sense because
No.
Pinocchio right now is. not really-
Where did he go?
Well, because selfless, brave, and true is what the blue fairy tells Pinocchio that he has to be a real boy. So he kind of fell back on that. So maybe because he broke that and turned into wood form, maybe there's no coming back from the wood form
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, because he wasn't selfless, brave, and true when he left Emma.
Yeah.
When
He was the
young.
exact opposite of
Very
all those
opposite.
things.
That's why he's a wooden boy.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what about you guys? What are your predictions?
I really don't have any.
I
of
know.
this.
I don't.
I'm like, what happened to Belle? We didn't see her.
Okay, what happened to Belle? What happens to the garden? One thing now, a new question for me is, I know that like somehow Rumple gives Henry to Regina, but I want to see the whole story.
Mm-hmm.
I hope we can see that and see how much that correlates with the stranger now. Maybe the
Yeah.
stranger will become friends with Henry because there's such a parallel.
Yeah.
So
I
don't know.
think that Kurt, Owen's father, is locked up in the
Oh, yeah.
place where Regina locked up Belle. I thought that too.
Yeah.
Like when we first
Yeah, I
watched
predict
it.
that Kurt is still alive
Yes,
somewhere,
please be still
and
alive.
that Owen
Somewhere.
will find him one day.
Yes. Do you think anytime in this season?
I think not this season, but maybe he will find out. They will discover who he is by the end of this season.
Do you guys? I have a question for you guys. Do you guys have any predictions on her?
I still think they're initials to someone,
Hmm.
which we haven't found out. It's not Kurt and Owen either, so.
I don't know who her is. I can't even give you a good guess.
And I would also like to. Question is also I want to know. I know we talked about this, but why Owen and Kurt had the privilege to end
To
up
enter.
there?
I
Yeah.
think it was because they were camping and then they saw this curse starting, so they got to the place where Storybrooke was going to end up before the curse actually
Yeah.
covered. So it was like pretty much perfect timing, right place, right
That's
time.
Right time.
That's just crazy though that there was like only 2 people camping in this whole area, and it happened to be these 2. I kind of want more of a story to that than just that, but we'll see. I guess.
I want to
Hopefully.
learn.
Question.
I want to learn more about the line and
Yeah.
why Storybrooke disappeared. Like, did Regina at that point put up a protection spell on the town so that strangers couldn't get in, or was it just a lapse where it was always like that? I don't know.
I mean, like with great episodes comes tons of questions, right?
But
So
we
many
also
questions.
saw when Regina saw Owen up at the line, but Owen couldn't see her.
Yeah.
When she
Yeah.
put her hand out, there was like this shield.
Yeah, you
So maybe they physically couldn't actually leave.
Yeah.
Maybe that was holding them back.
Well, let us know your thoughts. We can always keep this conversation going on Twitter. To find me on Twitter or Instagram, I'm at TweetT22.
And you can find me at KAORIOUS on Twitter as well as Tumblr.
And I'm on Twitter and on Instagram at Serafini TV.
And you can find all of us at AFTERBUZZ TV's Twitter at AFTERBUZZ TV. Until next week, guys, Oncers out.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.